Hello, everybody, and welcome to another great episode of Sound Mind. My name is Bryant Collier, and I am your host. I am so excited that you are joining us today. Listen, we have an amazing segment for you today. I want to first take some time and give a great statement of appreciation to our senior pastor, our leader, our visionary of Hope TV, Dr. E. Dewey Smith Jr. I am grateful for his leadership during this season, and we are grateful to have him as the captain of our ship as we go along and provide ministry to you. And thank you to our viewers who have been supporting us from our webisodes. We are so grateful that you're here with us, and we have so much more in store for you as the weeks come. Now, our weeks in Sound Mind have been dynamic. We've heard from leaders and professionals in the area of mental health and counseling, and today is not going to be any different. We have a very special guest. She's no stranger to the House of Hope Atlanta family. She's a friend of mine, Dr. Margie Gill. She's a licensed psychotherapist and clinical supervisor for mental health professionals. She has her bachelor's degree from Georgia Gwinnett College and her master's degree in clinical psychology from Bryant University. And she obtained her doctorate degree from the University of Georgia. Now, in addition to being the executive director of the Tabitha's House for the House of Hope Atlanta, which is a nonprofit organization that provides direct care services and resources to survivors of human trafficking. She is also the vice chair for the Decatur County Juvenile Court for Mental Health. And she is also the faculty clinical supervisor and assistant clinical director for the psychology department of Bryant University. More importantly, she is a wife of 26 years, and she is a mother of who she's loved, where she loves her children and her pets. Will you welcome to our segment of Sound Mind, Dr. Margie Gill?
Woo! Thank you for having me. Hey, how are you?
I am doing great. How are you on this wonderful day?
I am beautiful, doing well, trying to stay positive with all of the circumstances surrounding us right now. That's the only thing to do, is to stay as positive as you possibly can to maintain a sound mind.
A sound mind. Now, Dr. Gill, I'm going to open up. I read so much here in your bio. You are definitely accomplished. And let me just first say, I love the work that you do. Could you share with our viewers today who may not be familiar with your work, what your typical day or week looks like in what you do?
Oh, wow. They might want to grab a pillow and blanket. But then again,
no, it's good. It's good.
Then again, they might want to grab their sneakers and put on some jeans and a t-shirt and get ready to go. My week is, I'll start with a day. My day is jam-packed from the time I open my eyes to the time I close my eyes the next morning sometimes. Sometimes it's not even at night, it's that following morning. As you read in my bio, I am a professor. I'm a professor at Bryant University, so that's one job that I have. But then again, I am the executive director of Tabitha's House, and that's another job. And both of these require full-time commitments. So it's like I'm working two full-time jobs, but at the same time, I still have a household to manage. I'm a wife. I'm a mother of three children, three beautiful children. I am the mother to many. Some of I call them my adoptive children. I stay in close contact with them, my godchildren. I'm a sister, I'm a friend, I'm a cousin, I have a busy life. So in a given day, I may put in anywhere from 14 to sometimes 20 hours in one day. And I get up and I do it all over again. But in the midst of all of that, I have to find some self-care, some me time throughout the day to just exhale.
I got you. I got you. So I want to get down to it. How has COVID-19 affected the demographic and group that you work with and your mission with what you do?
I have seen a lot. Um, I have seen it impact families in ways that is not being broadcasted on the news and social media. Um, there have been some detrimental effects. I have worked with people who have attempted suicide because they feel as though that's their only sense of escape to get free of this, right when they were taking, steps forward for life improvement, empowerment, betterment. This happens and it's like it's all taken away in a matter of seconds, really, because when the jobs closed, they closed abruptly. um, some people were already at their wits end with just trying to make ends meet. Then this happened, and then they don't qualify for any of the stimulus packages that are being rolled out. People are forgetting, what about the people who were already considered homeless? What about the children? I work with a lot of children. I work with children who are at risk. I work with children who have run away from home and they're seeking shelter. Um, and then what happens when the shelters are closed? They're not even taking people. What happens next? We've seen an increase in the amount of domestic violence calls, human trafficking assistance calls, emergency assistance, emergency financial assistance. We've seen quite a bit. Last week, just at Tabitha's house, we fed almost 100 people with not just cooked and prepared meals, but we provided groceries. More specifically, one of the families that we assisted, there were 13 children in this one household.
No.
They had no food. When I say no food, they didn't have food. So what makes us stand out a little bit different than other organizations or what other people are doing, we're not just taking food. I know, they may need toiletries. They may need paper products. So I would take tissue. I would take bleach. I would take hand sanitizer or things that they need that are hard to come by. So I made sure these households were taken care of. And so me and my team, we go out and we still do what we have to do because we are on the front lines. I mean, I am a little bit more exposed to the virus. And so I have to make sure that I'm protected. We have to have PPE also. And so, it's just, we still have to go out into people's homes, so it's really dangerous for us right now. But this is a part of, I guess, a part of the position that I have. And I'm passionate about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to touch on what you said. One of the demographics that you touch on, and it's something that I've been so encouraged through about your work, is with domestic violence and sex trafficking. What do those numbers look like? Have they? I've heard that they've increased, but from your side, what have you seen in that area of domestic violence and sex trafficking?
We have received calls of people who are wanting to leave their situation, but they are caught almost like in a catch-22 under the circumstances because they are with someone who's abusing them. But they want to leave, but they choose not to leave because at least they know where they are right now. Nobody has been diagnosed with COVID. What happens if I get COVID? Who will help care for me? I'll just tough this out, and when this passes, then I'll leave. At least I have food for right now. But if I leave and go to this shelter, they can't provide for me because some of the shelters at the beginning of this, some shelters weren't taking any people. So it was almost like the women, the children, people who wanted to leave, they were trapped in these toxic relationships. So for us, we saw a drastic increase in the need to provide the telemental health services. The clinicians that work at Tabitha's house, they saw almost, oh my gosh. I mean, the regular clients some of the regular clients come in twice a week. They wanted to be seen 3 and 4 times in 1 week just to manage just the thoughts, the raging, the thoughts that were going through their head, and how do they manage the anxiety, the depression, how to cope.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we definitely saw a drastic increase.
I can't imagine, like trying to process through like what it feels like to be trapped between a decision of life and life, or death and death. Like if I
Yeah.
leave, I find this case of possibly losing my life. If I die, I fight this case of possibly losing my life. What do you tell them? Because here's what we know, that there's possibly somebody watching right now that is in that situation. What do you tell someone that's in that place? How do you keep, where do they go for solace or relief of some sort?
If there's someone out there right now who is in a situation, similar to what I described, you want to go, but then again, you feel as though you can't get the support, you can't get the help, it's not available. Help is available. Help is available. Get out of that situation. You can call, Tabitha's house, we still take calls. The state has mandated some of the agencies to remain open. And from the very beginning, when everybody was closing, and this is the part that was kind of perplexing to me. We were on a call, and we were told we were essential. We could not close. We had to keep doing what we were doing. Yet some agencies were closing their doors, and not closing their doors
Wow.
because they could not compensate the people. They were closing their doors because they were afraid of contracting COVID-19. And so that was creating exclusionary services for a huge population of people. And so with I only had, when this first started, I had about 10 masks. So what did I do? I was like, well, I'll keep 2 for myself. And I gave out the other 8 that I know of people who would still need to go out, still need to do some things. And it became a point of prioritizing. But, we still had to keep going. But if there's somebody out there, know that services are available. These agencies have got funding. They should have the money. They should have the staff. It's smaller agencies like Tabitha's House who really, we're not getting a lot of funding, because some of the larger agencies, I won't say they beat us to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's political. I'll say that. It's political.
I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, and if I do, I'm there already. I'm already there. Let's go. I think it has shown a lot of. It's really sick. Let me just say that it's sick at how politics has played such a role in this national, global pandemic.
Yes.
Yes. And so for you, like really, for those that are like you, that are still going, that are soldiers on the front line, how are you handling the stress and the fight? And we're 2 months in.
Yeah. I mean, it's a challenge. I gave in the opening, I told you how many hours a day that I put into both of the positions that I feel. And it's stressful. I cannot sit here and lie and say it's not stressful. It is very stressful. So I am very intentional in maintaining some form of self-care for myself. I don't just go all those hours without taking a break, without a rest period. At one time I did, and I started to feel it. I started to feel it physically, emotionally, mentally, and financially. I felt it. It got to a point where I'm like, if I'm dead and gone, I can't help anybody. And I'm not about to do this to my family. So I had to really step back and I had to reevaluate everything. So I do certain things to manage my stress load. Laughter is good, okay? I try to
Yes, it
laugh.
is, daughter. It is
Yes,
good.
yes. So I try to laugh as much as I can. I don't like exercise. I don't like
You're not
exercise.
the only one.
I'm
The Bible says the wicked run when no one's chasing them, and I'm not wicked.
right there with you. I second that because I don't like exercise. But what I have started doing, I take my dogs out on a walk and we go through the neighborhood. You know, I'll get on my bike now and ride, even if it's just to the corner and back. At least I'm doing something. My sisters have challenged me to get 10,000 steps a day. So I try to get at least 10,000 steps a day. I mean, I even try to meditate throughout the day.
Okay.
But
and that's healthy.
I got that.
And that's healthy. And so here's the thing. I think a lot of times we feel like individuals who are, you know, the professionals, the therapists, the psychologists, they don't need these moments. But you're telling me, as someone, as a professional in the field, that you use these moments. Can you just speak to us really quickly about how important it is and that no one is left out of that? Because the look on your face says you've heard this before.
Yes, I have. You know, there was this picture circulating on social media about it was a picture of a lion, and the caption was, where does the strong go when they need help? You know, if you're always strong for somebody else,
Jesus.
Who can help? Everybody's always drawing from your strength.
Jesus.
What re-energizes you? And so you have to find it. Whatever that it is, as long as it's healthy, is legal, and is safe, then indulge in it. You know,
you heard it. Healthy, legal, safe. Let's try it one more time. Healthy, legal, and safe.
You know, it doesn't, if it doesn't cause you any harm and it makes you feel good, why not indulge in it? I used to be so guarded, so reserved, so, I can't do that. I can't say that. I can't, you know, a friend of mine told me, girl, you need to loosen up. Okay. You need to loosen up, let your hair down a little bit. And I have, and I can tell you, it really shifted. It shifted my well-being. You know, people look at stress. So we have stress on one side. Stress is really like, it's an extreme. You know, we all go through stuff in life, right? But on the opposite side of stress, what could be a total opposite? Intimacy. That's an extreme. So if you have stress on one side, and whatever that thing is that's causing you stress, if you try to convert the opposite of that into intimacy, you'll get a totally different outcome. It will change your thinking. So let me give you an example of that.
Give us an example, Dr. Gill. Come on, you're preaching it here tonight. Give us an example.
Okay, an example would be, remember I told you, with all of these responsibilities, it was causing problems, even in relationships. So if you have this stress that's impeding your relationship, whether it's an intimate partner, whether it's with your children, your colleagues, your friends, find a way to make that intimate. Be more intentional about calling and just hanging out and talking with your friends. Be more intentional and being romantic with that partner who you always lash out at. That intentionality is big. So take that thing that's causing you that stress and flip it. Be more intimate with it.
This thing is good because it sounds like what you're saying is change your perspective on how you approach the things that stress you out, that you want to keep, that should be healthy in your world.
Yes. And you have to do
That's
that.
good.
You have to change
That's
that
good.
negative. You have to shift your thinking. You have to disrupt those negative thoughts before they even surface. So you have to train yourself to start thinking positively. You will reproduce what you constantly fester on. So if you're constantly stressed and how you're not going to be able to do this or you're not going to be able to do that, that's what you'll reap. You know, that's what you are attracting into your life. So if you want better, you got to start thinking better.
Think better. You got to think better. And I think that's what I love. And let me tell you, Dr. Smith, such a visionary with this essence of sound mind. And the scripture that we were holding to is in 3 John, where it says, I wish that above things that you may prosper and be in health as your soul prospers. And I think we've done such a good job, Dr. Gill, with trying to get people saved, but they're still crazy when they leave because we don't teach practical things. Well, as a whole, as a church whole, we don't always deal with practical pieces that are biblical. And you just said to change you think on things that are positive. And here's the thing, Dr. Gill, we like to say, what do you say to people? Let me ask you a question. What do you say to people who suggest that they're a realist? They're not being negative. I'm just a realist. I just shoot things straight. I'm not negative. What do you say to those individuals?
We all, if you're human, you battle with reality versus another possibility. So there's no person. And then what is your reality? Is your reality based off of what you're seeing on social media? Is your reality based upon what somebody else said? Is it based upon your experience? What are you basing this realism on? Realism, it shows that you have one way of thinking. It shows you don't have a flexibility in thinking. And the last time I checked, if you're not flexible in thinking, you're a little rigid. Right? You're rigid.
Gill. Dr. Gill, they're gonna shut us down, Dr. Gill. They're gonna shut us down. I just want you to know they're gonna shut us down. No, don't shut us down. Don't shut us down. But you're so right. And we meet and we're in community. So what do you do when you're in community with a person or you're in relationship with someone who is rigid because they're not flexible in thought?
That's a good question. That's a loaded question. And this is exactly how some of the people we provide services to, this is how they get trapped in these toxic relationships. Because they're with someone who feels like their way is the only way, or their thought process is the only way. And they're so rigid in thinking they don't want to hear anybody else's opinion. They don't want to hear anybody else's experience because it's this way. Well, you know what? I'm sorry to pop that bubble. People have different experiences. And, I have my certification in diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so when I go out and I do these talks to Fortune 500 companies, I do it for colleges, different universities around the U.S. This is one of the areas that I challenge people. And so I bring in activities that will intentionally challenge their way of thinking, their way of knowing, their way of doing. Like here again, I go back to that word, intentionality. And this is what are the people expecting to get out of certain things? If you have somebody who's a realist and they're going to tell it like it is, and it's this way, then if you already know everything, what you coming to me for? I don't know it all, and I won't ever say I know it all. But be open to listen, be open to learn, be teachable, because you'll get further in life if you allow others to just pour into you, just a little bit. That could be life-saving, life-changing. Just a little.
Just a little. So I have a question.
I'm sorry, if it only take faith the size of a mustard seed, just have a
Preach,
little.
daughter. Preach, daughter. See, you tried to sneak that preaching there. That's what you did. You heard a little preaching there. Okay. Here's a question for you. So, because this is about us protecting our mind, about us protecting our hearts, about us being well individually and then well for others. Can you deal with what happens to a person who is not open to anything else, to a different thought, a different perception, a different view? Can you tell us what the dangerous long term is for that person? And then you've already shared with us what it is for the person they're involved in a relationship with, hence how they end up in domestic abuse relationships and things like that. Can you tell us what the dangers of both of those sides are?
There could be a lot of underlying issues with the person who does not want to accept any type of change, who is not flexible at all. There could be some underlying trauma that needs to be resolved. It could stem all the way back from childhood experiences of abandonment, isolation, abuse, neglect, a lot of different things. So they would really need to get to the root of what is contributing. I can't say causing, because it's hard to link causation to anything. It's more challenging what we think. So what contributes to these, the way that they're feeling? So they need to uncover what's been going on that has really led them down this line. Trauma is packaged in so many different ways. And this is what I always tell people, and research backs this up. It's not just mere opinion. Research has been done on this. Whenever trauma hits, the brain goes into its own protective mode. So if that trauma hit somebody at the age of 5 years old, guess what happens to their brain development? It stops. Their brain development goes into a protective mode of survival. That's where fight, flight, all that comes into play, because you have to learn how to protect yourself. So if you have been subjected to all this trauma for so long, we have the adverse childhood experiences, we got trauma, we got all this crime in the community, we got domestic violence, witnessing. You don't even have to be the one that it was really directed towards. If you witnessed it, it has the same impact on you as though you were the direct victim. So it causes that person to shut down. And so in order for you to get past that, we have to meet the person where they are. And I think this is how I break barriers with people so quickly. I get a lot of people. So Bryant, let me tell you a little story. So my name is Margie. First name is Margie. I don't know too many Black Margies. And when people call my private practice for counseling services, they assume I'm white. And when they walk into the room and I walk in as a clinician, sometimes they have this look on their face like, no, I'm here for Dr. Gill. I say, I am Dr. Gill.
I am Dr.
And they say, I am Dr. Gill. They have this look on their face like, I don't know how this is going to work out. Some of my most challenging yet rewarding clients have been people who don't look like me and who would not accept me initially as being a Black woman, who came highly recommended, but they were really rigid, until I challenged them in an area of whatever it is. I've had people with, look, this is mostly adults with sexual dysfunction who would come to me, a couple. And the couple came right out and told me, we didn't think you would be able to help us as a Black woman. And they were a white couple, and they drove 45 miles one way to come see me. And they
Wow.
were there every week for their appointment like clockwork. And when
Wow.
their service was over, they were like, you did it. And I'm like, no, I didn't do anything. You all did it. You opened up and you became flexible in thinking. You know, you can't live successfully with a closed mind. You can't.
Say that one more time, Dr. Gill. Say that one more time for the people in the back, because there's somebody in the back that needs to hear that message.
You can't live successfully with a closed mind or a closed heart. You know, people have been hurt in relationships. Yolanda Adams said it, didn't she? Open your heart. You got to open your heart. You got to learn to love again. Learn to love again.
I'm going to ask something that's challenging, Dr. Gill. I'm sorry.
Oh, boy.
How do you have that conversation of loving again with someone that might have experienced domestic abuse?
That person who experienced the domestic abuse, they have to find their own healing. They do. They got to find the person who experienced it. Here again, meet them where they are. You love them the same. I think as people, we set our expectations too high. You know, we have the criteria of what our partner should have. We have the criteria of where they should be in life, what they should be doing, and how much money they should be making. And it's not all about that. It really isn't. Some of the some of the wealthiest people, they don't have peace. They don't have joy. They don't. I mean, I can attest to this because here again, some of my clients have wealth out of this world. And what so wealth, they pay me to come to their houses to provide intensive services because they don't want to come out to the office. They want it as private and, you know, as confidential as possible. And I respect that. But they don't know how to love. They don't know what it feels like to be loved because they feel as though everybody who they tried to love wanted to take advantage of them. So they don't know how to love. And it's just self-empowerment, giving. I operate from this modality called cognitive behavioral therapy. And I challenge them in their thinking so that it could impact their behaviors. You know, we have this thing with, you know, people need to know the difference between, you know, their emotions and their feelings. Most people don't know how to identify with feelings. You ask somebody, thank you for that honesty.
It's real. It's real.
It's real. It is really, really real to be able to recognize the difference in emotions and feelings. Yes, you could be prompted immediately with an emotional response, but your feelings are those things that linger after that emotion has been triggered. You know, so just getting in touch with that, learning how to love that person who's been abused or victimized the way in which they want to be loved. It's not always how you want to love somebody. Find out how they want to be loved. You know, the 5 love languages, that's one. You know, that's one method. But here again, just having a conversation, knowing how to communicate, knowing what makes your partner happy. Because if they're happy, they're most likely to reciprocate it.
I Dr. Gill, let me tell you what you've done. For a lot of us, you have challenged us to be intentional, to be vulnerable, to be open. And for most of us, I hate to say this, as a Black community, we weren't taught how to be this. Don't be a Christian too. Oh no, you just take it all to the altar. but you have opened us up to a conversation. And I'm going to say this to somebody out there. You may be standing in the way of your own healing because you don't like the method it's coming in.
That's right. That's right. But you know what? And there are times when you don't have any control over that either. But your perspective, how you look at it, you do have control over that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we got to learn patience. We got to put aside that microwave mentality of having it now, my way, this way. If it ain't this way, I ain't got to settle for it. No, you don't have to settle for it. You really don't have to settle for it. But just understand, this might be a season that's sharpening you for something even better, for something that's even greater. But if you pass this test where you are right now, how you gonna function? You know, what really floors me is when I see people saying, you know what? Because see, when I make it big, I'm gonna do this and this and this and this. You ain't being faithful over this little bit you got right now. So how will you be trusted with it? You know,
Dr. Gill.
I am not a dream killer. I am not pessimistic. I love to see people accomplish their goals, going to the next level. They got to learn to do right, though. Because as soon as they get it, they got to learn how to keep it. You know, they got to learn how to keep it, Bryant. But see, a lot of people...
Dr. Gill,
Go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, I used to work at David's Bridal. And here's the thing. Many people don't know this, but I worked as a bridal consultant. I watched many brides ring the bell, but not have the money to take it out of the door. And a lot of people, they want this thing, but they don't want to put in the work for it. And for a sound mind, you got to put in the work.
You got to put in the work. You got to.
Dr. Gill, you floored me today, and I'm sure our audience is thoroughly happy. Hopefully you're tagging somebody that needs to hear this message today. If it's you, tag yourself. You need to hear this message today because it's so real and we need to hear it. Dr. Gill, the first thing I want to add, first of our last things, I want to ask, how can we get in touch with you if we're interested? If there are any people interested in your services or connecting with someone that needs help, and you help so many people, how do we get in touch with you?
There are several ways you can reach out to me. My Instagram handle is margie.gill. That's one way. You can go to our website at Tabitha's House, and that is Tabitha's House, INT, like international, Tabitha's House, INT.org. Our local phone number is 678-804-8823. We have a 1-800 number also, is 855-804-8823. And we do, at Tabitha's House, we do the escape services. So if we can't answer immediately, we do our best to call you back as soon as we can, because we go out, and if somebody needs help from here recently, we've been called out on domestic violence calls. So if somebody needs to leave a toxic or dangerous situation, we go out. So if we can't answer immediately, we will follow up.
That's great. So last thoughts, last nuggets you want to drop. This will not be your last time. I'll be sitting with Dr. Gill again. I just love her, and I love cutting up, even though they probably gonna shut us down after this, Jesus. But Dr. Gill, what do you want to say? And I'm going to be selfish here. I want you to talk to not just the audience members as a whole. Say something to all of us, but speak even to those who are on the front line right now, who are dealing with seeing this trauma and the effects of this pandemic firsthand. Can you say something to us?
Yes. If you are on the front lines, first of all, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for putting your life on the line, because you really are, to provide services, to provide support, to save lives, because you are genuinely saving lives. So I want to thank you for that. I want to say the stages of grief are real. It does not look the same for everybody. People on the front line, they are really seeing a lot of grief, a lot of loss, a lot of death, a lot of illness, a lot of people, who are in need. So that in itself can be traumatizing. And this thing with trauma, it lingers, and it has the potential to worsen if left untreated. So please seek assistance. There are resources out there for everybody. I want to share a number. For crisis situations, the suicide hotline phone number is 1-800-273-8255. If you don't have access or you don't want to call, you feel more comfortable with texting, you could text TALK, TALK, to 741-741. For non-crisis situations, you can also text NAMI, NAMI, at 741-741. But there are, several ways for you to implement some form of self-care. Take a walk, release yourself from the TV, shut down the news. It's okay to turn it on and check on, the numbers, but don't be overly consumed with it, because it can make matters worse. Do crossword puzzles, connect with your family, but still maintain that social distancing. Call them on the phone, do the Zoom meetings. I see some people are doing the drive-by birthday parties. Find a way to stay connected. Don't isolate. Because when you isolate, it increases loneliness, and it has the potential to increase depression. And that's what we want to go against that. We don't want depression. Laughter, exercise, eat healthy, try new recipes, cook, clean, reorganize. Do something that you've always wanted to do. If you wanted to go back to school, now is the perfect time to pursue that education. So there are quite a few things, but just something to disrupt any type of negative thoughts that may be intrusive and that will impair your day.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Dr. Gill, for being on the front line during this pandemic. Your touch and your reach, we can't even count it because of what you're doing on the front line, and your team and your family for their sacrifice during this time. So I want to first start by saying that. And then secondly, thank you so much for being with us today on Sound Mind here on Hope TV. You were definitely an inspiration. You've challenged me to work through some things of my own. I am dealing with, bless me. I'll do my homework, and then I'll let you know what I did. If you really enjoyed this, let us know in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from. We want to be a part of your walk. And if you need those numbers, we can provide those to you, what Dr. Gill provided. Dr. Margie, thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate you so much. And to my friends who are out there, in the Hope TV world, thank you so much again for watching with us. We will see you again the next time for Sound Mind. Remember, God wants your soul to prosper, but He also wants your health to prosper, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Until next time, take care, and we'll see you soon.